Hello there, my name is Valerie White Williams, and today I'm going to be talking about Venus through the houses. And so we are talking about astrology and the astrology wheel. There are 12 houses that are the places where our chart wheel shows up. It's kind of like actors acting in a play or a movie. Some of them are going to be working underground in secret stuff. Some people are going to go in the library. Some people are working out. And so where the planets show up is where we're supposed to put our attention in. Well, we're not even supposed to. It just happens. And so it'll help you understand how to work with your Venus. Now, Venus is the planet of, traditional love and relationships. And one of my teachers calls it the emotional body, how you relate to people emotionally and the feelings and how your feelings react. And again, I think of the signs like ice cream flavors or potato chip flavors. They do have an impact, but not as much as what I feel in the house positions. So we're going to go through all of that right now. Before I get going, make sure you subscribe and click on the bell so you get all of my content. So we're going to start, of course, in the first house. We are going to talk about Venus. And Venus was the goddess of love in the Roman times, and also the Greek, I think Aphrodite was her name. But it's really about your emotional expression. Some people think it's your female side, the planets aren't gendered, okay? It's just this emotional, how you relate to people, your emotional body, how you react and how you feel. It's a feeling, it's a social thing. Your emotional body, how you feel. So we're going to start in the first house. Now, the first house, everything that's in the first house shows up. So you can't hide anything. And that's where the rising sign is. So we do have the rising sign, and everybody's going to have a different rising sign. But if Venus is in that first house, it means that you like people. You like to talk to people. You like to hang out with people. It helps you kind of get to know yourself when you interact with others. So when you're having a problem, there might be something that you want. You just need to talk to somebody, and you are friendly. You really enjoy meeting people. It's very stimulating to you. Now, it could be there is differences. Like you say, you're a Scorpio. It's not like you're going to be like a big social bug. Venus and Scorpio wants to connect to people that they really like or they really trust. Likewise, Venus in Virgo would be like a little bit more, it's got to be the right person. They have to relate to me. They have to be, that's what I mean by the ice cream flavors, is that the characters of the signs are going to express themselves through that, but still the emotions, the feelings, needing to connect and relate to people is going to show up in the first house. And usually people that are having Venus in the first house, people like them. They're just really friendly, and they have this little bit of charisma, and you want to be their friend because they just like people, and they just love to relate and feel very comfortable. All right, so now I'm going to go into the second house, and the second house is the house of what I own, what I'm building, what I have, my physicality. I have a structure. I want to build things. So Venus in the second house feels really comfortable because Venus likes pleasure. It likes to be comfortable and have sensuous things and feeling very, lots of fullness and abundance, things like that. And that emotional body feels really comforted in that second house, and they really want to have the good things in life. So they attract that. Now the thing is that, say for Mars in that second house, they're going to work hard, but Venus is kind of going to attract it. Like, see, I attract this wealth, or this, it's not even money. It could be money, again, depending on the sign, but it could be just luxuries or just sensuous things that feel very sensual and very protected, and kind of building your nest that feels good. You feel really comfortable, and then you can express your joy and your emotions because you feel really safe, because the second house is kind of like feeling safe and comfortable and having a structure to build. It's really about a lot of building. And so that Venus could be somebody who works in real estate, or they could be really comfortable about, maybe they are a builder and they build beautiful homes. I have a friend that I have in a training program, and she actually started out as a curves model. I don't know if she has her Venus in the second house, but she started out as a curves model, and she's still gorgeous and curvy. And then she went into becoming a builder, a female builder, construction worker. That sounds very Venus in the second house to me. And so I don't know her enough to ask her about her chart, but it does seem to fit. All right, so now I'm going to go on to the third house. Now, the third house is about communicating who you are, your style, your point of view. So the third house, now these are really personal houses. First is this is who I am. Second house, I'm building this thing. This is my identity. Third house, it's like my expression, what I'm going to express. So Venus in that third house really likes to communicate about relationships, because that's what Venus is about. Relationships, pleasure, feeling comfortable in your body and skin, and just relating to other people. So when Venus is in that third house, you're probably going to be that person that the teachers don't really say, stop talking. And you might be really interested in fashion, because that's another sign of expression. It's not a verbal expression, but what you say about your style and your fashion speaks loudly, because you're expressing your identity. It's really, the third house is like your identity, what I feel like, how I see the world. So you might just be really interested in creating unique fashion statements. And it's like, and that statement communicates who you are. And again, with the sign. So maybe if you're a Leo, you're going to feel very luxurious and like jewels and like buying all those purses that are really expensive. And this is my style and I love it. And you love to talk to others and maybe go shopping together and just having this girl time to buy all these things that actually expresses who you are and my emotion, and attracting people to you and your charisma. So there's gonna be a lot of charisma showing up there in that third house, because it's friendly. Again, Venus wants to make friends. And another thing I forgot to say, and I should have said it earlier, is sometimes Venus is where you're gonna find your friends in the houses. So the houses are gonna show you where you have friends, and also maybe loving partners, because Venus, so you might attract that person from your style in that third house, or your friends. All right, so now we're going to go into the fourth house. Now the fourth house is the house of the home, the foundation. It also is where you were born, what kind of home you grew up in, and then it's kind of where you want to feel safe and comfortable in your real life. Now, of course, Venus in that home wants it to be really comfortable. Everybody's welcome. There's a lot of pleasure. There's a lot of parties that people are welcome. We're having like maybe barbecues, having people over. Everybody can talk. It's very comfortable. Now that's the thing about Venus is the emotional body, and it feels really comfortable in that home, making it a beautiful place so people can relax and enjoy talking to each other and having pleasurable activities. And again, it relies on the sign. So if, let's say it's Cancer is really at home in that fourth house. There's a relationship there. And so Venus in Cancer is a little more protected. They're not as extroverted, especially in the fourth house, but they really will have lots of parties with friends and close friends and family. So they have a little bit more protective energy. It's like the crab. But still, that home is going to be a place of comfort, beauty, because Venus is related to beauty. And, it could be, again, those friends that you meet, like maybe your brother's friends come into your home. You're like, oh, I'm going to ask out her sister. See what happens. So that's how Venus shows up in the fourth house. And it's going to make everything feel there's a lightness in Venus. It's a little bit feeling like, the emotions. I don't mean like emotions like we're having a bad day, but just the social aspect of it. and just being able to be free with your emotional body and relate to other people. It's kind of a social sign. That's where it is. So you're going to be more social in that home. Okay, so now we're going to go into the 5th house. And the 5th house is a house of creativity and children, sports and activities that you are kind of usually do solo. But that 5th house is still like music, playing with bands, playing sports. So Venus in the 5th house is probably not going to be like a big rah sports, but maybe yoga, maybe dance, doing things that are very kind of more feminine, graceful things in that 5th house. And so you might be in a dance troupe, or you just love to move your body and just do a lot of workouts that are bringing people to you, and it feels creative, this creativity. And again, singing will fit into that as well. You're going to feel like you want to sing, you want to do art, and you express your emotions. So I am a vocal coach. That's my main thing that I've done for many years. And people like to sing. You might be in a choir, because when you sing with other people, or even if you sing with a teacher, you bond with people emotionally. That's what happens. When you do these activities, sometimes you become friends for life. I've done concerts that were really scary because no one prepared, and it was a high profile concert, and we got through it. Those people are my besties for life because we went through this emotional experience. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but in a bonding way. So that 5th house is where, Venus really can bond with people and express their emotions and bond together by doing all these creative things. It also is the house of children, because that's another creative thing. We create the children. And so having a lot of children and allowing that Venus energy, it's lighter energy, even if it's in Scorpio, because Scorpio has that intensity, it's a secretive side to it, but it's still going to feel protected and joyful, but it may not be as extroverted as, say, Aries, that really takes action and maybe is a bit more, I don't want to say aggressive, but a bit more energetic. Maybe that should be the right word. But you're still getting to know people. So if you're in this 5th house and you're in a choir, you might find your partner. I have a friend that was in a band, and they were like in a jazz band, and she asked, this guy was hanging out, and she was talking about some party or something. She goes, well, I better invite him because I don't want to be rude and not invite him. So what happened? He came over, and then they got together, and they're married, and now they have kids. So that's an example of Venus in the 5th house, because there it is. You're having fun. You're bonding with people, making music. There it is. Your friends will be there. All right. So the next house we're going to go into is the 6th house. Now, the 6th house is the house of fitness, organizing things, making things that are, perfecting things, organizing your work life, and health, and taking care of animals, things like that. So it's kind of like structure. It relates to Virgo because it's kind of like the house of Virgo. So when Venus is there, those people need to organize and feel comfortable to allow their emotional, this feels so much better. There's so much clutter. I need to clean it up. I'm going to work and it's messy. So there's a focus of putting things in order. But Venus, it's kind of a little bit of different placement, because Venus in Virgo would be very happy there. Yes, I'm going to do it. But maybe Venus in Aries it might be a little more challenging placement. Now, I don't like to think of good and bad in astrology, because there is no good and bad. We decide what we want to do, and it's just about balance. Everything is a balance. So Virgo really wants to have this relationships, it wants to express itself, but in that 6th house, they're going to be a bit more maybe selective. Like it's going to be at work with your work friends, or it's going to be, in the gym, and you're going to be working out, and you're going to I'm going to improve myself, because that's kind of where the Venus shows up. And they still want to have beauty. They still want to create a sense of beauty and structure. I don't remember exactly, but I remember I did Michael Jackson, and I think he had a lot of placements in the 6th house. And I think Virgo might have been in there, but I may be wrong. but still working hard, because that's the house of kind of work. And then you're working hard. And I don't remember what his sign was, but basically you can still work hard and create art. You can still work hard in the dance studio, because he was such a great dancer. And when you perform, they make it look easy, but people that are high level artists, they still practice. They just don't wake up and do stuff. They practice. They get everything together, especially Michael did. So that work ethic, there's that work ethic in that sixth house to get things together, to work it out. It's not the house of the career. It's another thing. That's different. But this is the nitty gritty. What do we do every day to get stuff done? And so Venus really would like to work with people. So Venus wants to work with other people, not be alone, but work together. So by dancing, working with other people, that is really comforting with them. And then they create the structure they need to go ahead in what they need to take care of in their health or their workspace or things like that. All right, so now we're going across, and now we're very across from the ascendant, we're in the descendant, and that's the seventh house, and that house is the house of partnerships. So Venus in the seventh house means that, you really want to meet somebody. You're really interested in partnering up, and you want to look for that person. And so in that house, there's a sense of wanting to find the right one in that house. And again, it's a bit of a social thing. Now think about on the seventh house, sometimes what's in the seventh house is what people think they don't have naturally. That's why they're attracted to people with placements in that seventh house, because that house is going to help them take it out from themselves. So people that have probably the Venus in the seventh house think that maybe I'm not so lucky in life. I need to be lucky. I got to find somebody, but I don't have that ability to be so friendly. But the truth is that you do. Your emotions to reach out to others is going to attract others to you. And so Venus wants to partner. That's what they want. And it's not just romantic partners, but friends. Find friends. Find people that like what you like. Now, I think in the seventh house, the sign is going to really be more important as far as the type of people that you will attract into your life. So I'm going to say like Sagittarius. So I'll say Venus and Sagittarius, which is kind of sporty. That Sagittarius likes to do action. They also love to they're kind of like, I call John the Baptist. They have a lot of opinions. So they might be really want to canvass for elections and knock on people's doors and say, hey, vote for this candidate. And I have really a lot of passion and have a little emotion too about this. And so they might find another person that's like, yes, I love this candidate. Let's work for them. And we're going to go on and we're going to work together and we're going to partner. Now, that's the thing about the seventh house is the seventh house wants to partner with people. And Venus wants to energize with people. They want to share information and have relationships that give you emotional expression. So that's kind of where that place is in the seventh house, is that they really want to find somebody, and it's kind of like, on the outer reaches, you're going to find that person. And you're like, wow, you just walked in my life. Here it is. And that goes for friends as well, and business partners and teachers. So I feel like I'm a vocal coach. I've had many vocal coaches that really were like a partnership, because it's one-on-one. When you have one-on-one coaching, there's that one-on-one relationship, and that person can help you. So there's this give and take, and then you're better for it. And when Venus is there, there might be also more artistic things as well, because that's how Venus is. Venus likes the good stuff in life. All right, so now we're going to go into the eighth house, and the eighth house is the house of death, taxes, rebirth, sex, things that no one wants to talk about, conspiracy theories, the things that are kind of hidden and people don't want to talk about it. So Venus in there is going to shed a little bit more light and maybe building more communities. So Venus in there is going to be like, I really like this stuff. I want to find someone who wants to discover and dig in. I want to dig in and get to know people, and it's not going to be secretive. It's going to be like, let's explore this. Let's explore this together. And again, when we talk about finding friends and relationships, It might be that the Venus in that 8th house is going to go to oh gosh, I don't want to say a church. That's probably more of a 9th house thing, but going into some discussion groups and studying maybe things that are not typically talked about, like Bigfoot. You love Bigfoot, and you want to go and you're going to join a Bigfoot group, because I live in the Northwest and there are people that have Bigfoot groups and they go around looking for where Bigfoot might show up, and then they might bond with other people that, like, yeah, I kind of didn't want to talk about it because it's kind of weird, but now I have my group, I have people that really are into it, and then you can really bond with them and then find that friendship and the emotional expression that can bond with people. And so that's just an example, and you might just work in other places that are like, even like in finance, you know, and money, and those places also, like, no one wants to talk about money or inheritances, but finding the things that make other people uncomfortable, and you're going to join in with somebody who also feels that way. That's kind of how Venus in that 8th house is going to show up. It's going to show up that way because it's not what other people do. Or they might be like kind of the goth culture, and they like to kind of dig into like more darker secrets, things that people don't want to talk about. And then they're going to bond with people that feel the same way. And it's like, yes, I found my people. And we can express ourselves in that 8th house, and we'll be protected. There's a little bit of protection there. And I don't mean protection like they're just, you have to win the trust. 8th house people are kind of closed, and then you have to prove you're trustworthy. And then once you're in the inner circle, then we can bond and we get it all. So now I'm going to go into the 9th house. And the 9th house is the house of higher education, religion, and religious thought, and philosophy, and language, and world culture. And that's where my Venus is. My Venus is in that house. And I love languages. I love philosophy. I love teaching. And of course, my friends, to be honest, I'm true to form. Most of my best friends are people that I went to college with, my voice teacher friends who are also teachers, and most of my boyfriends or my husband, and they were all people that I went to school with. So that is reality. That's it, you know, and that's kind of where you find your friends, because I love to learn, and I'm a learning geek, and I love learning, and I get really joyful to have friends that we can talk about all the nerdy voice teacher topics. I miss my voice teacher friends because not everybody has the stamina to listen to a bunch of voice teachers talk, because a lot of technical, but we also understand the joy and the expression of singing. And we have communities, and I have a professional group and things like that. And so they're my friends. Those are most of my friends, are people that were on that same page of educating, and that's really common. So that 9th house is that Venus really enjoys all those things. Now, it could be also languages. You might want to travel the world, and you love languages and just have that travel bug, and you want to have, of course, not by yourself, you need to have someone else travel with you, and you want to travel the world. In fact, I have classmates of mine that they retired and they live in Spain, and they took off and they're like living in Spain. And I have another friend who's traveled the world as well. People I went to college with, I'm still friends with, but they are still traveling the world in that Venus energy of having joy and meeting people. And so that's where Venus likes to go in that 9th house, is exploring and having friends that love to talk or travel together, and they can express their emotions and have fun with their friends. All right, so now I'm going to go in the 10th house. So 10th house, we're crossing over this line now, and the 10th house is your house of the legacy. A lot of people think of it as the career house. I don't really like that term because not everybody has a career. Some people work at home. There's stay-at-home mothers and fathers and people that are disabled, but they can still have a legacy, meaning they help others. They should have a vision. So Venus in that 10th house really is about building relationships, because Venus loves to relate and has that emotional expression. So Venus in the 10th house may be a counselor, someone who really counsels people. Maybe they work in human resources, and they're the kind of people that would say, oh, thank you so much, you've helped me out, I've had such a big problem. And then that person with Venus in the 10th house says, no problem, that's what I do, I help you and give you what you need. And then of course that friendship there, there's a lot of counselors or people that work one-on-one with people that they're people. That's what they are in the 10th house. So they're not typically going to be accountants locked up in a room. They're going to be with other people that give them an emotional expression and understanding. So they are professional understanders to other people, so other people can get that relief. They're really good at that relief, whatever it is. And again, here's where the signs come in. So let's say you have Venus in Taurus, and Taurus is pretty steady and strong. So you could be that person, it could be a teacher that holds the vision and is a strong person that will listen and then give structured advice, and it's going to be really practical and down to earth. And then the person that you are interacting with is like, thank you so much, because that wisdom shows up. So that's where beauty, and again, there's a sense of beauty and coming into balance with our emotions. So people think of emotions of being extreme emotions, but we're talking about interacting with people, how we interact with others and the relationships we have. So a lot of relationship coaches, there's lots of those on everywhere. Dating coaches, people connecting people. So that dating coach that is helping people find their partnerships. I think of also John Tracy, men are from Mars, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Perfect example of somebody who works with the emotional realm. They're very strong with it. They help others connect and relate to each other. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing as a profession. And it's a win-win for everybody. And of course, people in those professions are more likely to work with others that are also in the same professions or relating to others, helping others come together and have that beautiful relationship with your emotions. Because when you create a relationship, if it's a dating coach, you need to be clear in an emotional way, because if you've got stuff you have to work through, it may not work unless you kind of clear it out. So people in the 10th house have that relationship thing going on, and so they can help others make a great relationship. All right, so now we're going to go to the 11th house. The 11th house is an interesting house because it's a house of where we're going back to the one, but the 11th house is about community, and especially the community of Earth. Like Earth is holy, Earth is sacred. All the creatures are sacred. So Venus in that house, you have a huge desire to make the world a better place. And so you're more likely to engage in philanthropy, I think I said it right, or volunteer work for your causes, like a park. It could be local in your own home. Like where I live, people really wanted to create a skate park so the kids could do something and go. And so they had to volunteer and get that going so kids had a place to go skateboarding. Or it could be in a greater place of you're really committed to make this beautiful home. And it's very inspirational, but it's also big goals. They have big goals in that house. And so they're willing to work with it, but they want to work with others to help create a new world, or a better world, I should say. And so that's where they're going to find their friends, other people that are going to volunteer to create a new park, or you're going to create a new, go doorbelling to get something on the ballot so we can change things like that. Then you're going to bond with other people that have the same goals and values as you. And so again, you're bonding with people, but over these issues that you feel is really important to change things. And that's what's going on in that 11th house. All right, so the last house we're talking about is the 12th house. And the 12th house is going back to the 1, because the 12th house is back where it's kind of like Pisces, where you're merged with the 1, and then we're going to be recycled. No, not really. But it is a bit of a diffused house, because the 12th house people and the place where the 12th house is where it's mystical. I call it the house of the mystic. So when you have Venus in the 12th house, you really feel emotion from people. And sometimes you don't understand whose emotion it is. So this is an issue with a lot of people that have Venus in the 12th house, is that they have these feelings, but they're not sure whose feeling it is, because they're kind of swimming in the sea of emotion, and they can feel other people's emotions in the room. And sometimes they get confused. So people that have Venus in the 12th house need a lot of time to process. They need place to kind of hide away, so they can figure out what's my emotion and what's your emotion. And they can be probably one of the harder people to kind of get to know, because they really want to feel safe with you. And it's kind of like the 8th house. The 8th house also is somewhat secretive, and the 8th house people also have, they're a little bit psychic too, because they're tuned into this other world. But they have 8th house people have a bit more boundaries, I guess I would say. They understand a bit more. It's because it's a water house, and they also get these in things that come into them. But for the people in the 12th house, it's a little harder for them to understand the emotions of others in their own. So they need to spend a lot of time alone in nature, in a place where they can kind of really get clear. So they need a lot of privacy. And then to have relationships, they need to really find people that understand them, because their emotions are so deep and their feelings are so deep that it's hard to share with just anybody. They need to express it in a way that feels safe, and they need to find people that can honor their need to be by themselves, but also honor their emotional things. Sometimes they don't understand, and they might need someone to help them talk it out. Like, what's going on? I don't know. I got to talk it out. And so they need to find true friends that they trust and love. And I'm not just talking romantic friends, but other partnerships. So you can bounce that off of people, so they can really get clear about, do I really feel this way, or does my friend feel this way? Or am I going to go what they want to do, but I really want to do this? And so it really takes time to really feel clear. So there's a bit of clarity. And so people in the 12th house are probably very interested in spiritual practice. And if they're not, they probably should be. I don't like to say shoulds, but anyone that has planets in the 12th house really needs to take on spiritual practices, whether they're going to go to church, whether they're going to read books, whether they're going to go to meditation, whether they're going to do yoga, whether they're going to do other sorts of ways to really feel who they are and get clear. And then that's going to give them a better sense of clarity of whose emotions are floating around the room. But they need people they trust and love. My husband, who passed away, may he rest in peace, had also Venus in the 12th house. And so it was a hard placement, because he just didn't want to trust very many people. And when he was out socially, he kept personal things separate. And it was hard for him to find people that are really, really safe and really could listen and be there for him. But that is very typical of the 12th house. But the 12th house has a power. It has power, and it has, things that people don't understand. So I would suggest people with Venus in the 12th house, find your people. Find your people that are also really interested in spirituality. They can be hard to find because people don't go around advertising that stuff, but we have the internet, and you can find more about spiritual practice, learning to meditate, learning how to, mindfulness, anything that is on that mindset, which is not really mindset, but spirituality. It's a really great practice. And I think too, it's really easy to use, drug and alcohol to kind of, because you're so sensitive, that kind of numbs you, but it actually makes things worse. So having that Venus in that tender placement, you need to find your people. And then you need to find people that you can trust, that have a like mind. And if you don't have them in your town, we have a whole internet world that you can find people. And so even those people, even if you don't see them in real life, they still can understand. So I hope that people that have that 12th house placement in Venus will reach out and make new friends, and there are great groups to do that. And I might put some in the links, because Simon Parks has a great group that is welcoming all people that are spiritual. It's a great group. I participate in that group sometimes, but I know that there's a lot of sensitive people that are there. And some people, they don't even talk, they just listen. And that's enough. They're in a Zoom call, they're just gonna listen. And even though if they don't want to interact, they are still kind of interacting with others, and that would feel safe. It's a safe place. So there's lots of courses and classes like that where you get that opportunity to be with other people that are on a spiritual mindset and that have really deep spiritual experiences. You just have to get there. And there are a lot of places to find. If it's not in your hometown, there are other places to go. All right, so I hope this was helpful for you guys. It's interesting, just even going through all these placements, how different Venus shows up, which is why the signs, it's more superficial. It's where you need to show up, where you're going to find your friends and feel comfortable with being a social person that can share their emotions in a healthy way. All right, so I want to let you know that I do have 2 free passion projects on Facebook. First one is YouTube Success Strategies, where I coach people on how to do YouTube. And the other group is called Creative Soul Alignment, and that's for people that are interested in creativity and spirituality. Because here's the deal, we are all creative and all spiritual. And last of all, I want to let you know that I do readings. I have the link up in the top of the page. I spent a lot of time on it, and it is something that I want to do. I do charge, but I hope it is something that will give you guidance for the rest of your life, to know I'm here on the planet for this purpose. I've studied my chart for years, and I feel like I'm in alignment with it, because my chart's kind of intense too. But the more you study that, the more you go, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm here to do. And it's all about the house positions and the placements. All right, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.